Here's the secret to a show-stopping desert front yard. Remove most of the grass, then spotlight one sculptural cactus against a carpet of warm gravel. That single bold move saves water, slashes maintenance, and creates instant high-end drama. Add a few drought-tolerant companions, and your entry reads curated, not barren. Today on Luxury Home Decor, we're sharing desert landscaping ideas that look luxurious, stay practical, and transform curb appeal without inflating your utility bill or weekend workload. Start with palette. Desert landscapes glow when colors echo the surrounding geology. Sandstone, terracotta, umber, and soft sage. Anchor ground surfaces with decomposed granite or gravel in warm neutrals. Then layer accents in charcoal, rusted steel, or black planters for crisp contrast. Plants carry the scheme. Think blue-green agaves, silver artemisia, and golden beryl cactus for punctuation. A restrained palette unifies everything, making even budget materials feel intentional, while allowing seasonal blooms to pop like jewelry rather than overwhelm the composition. Great desert yards are built on hardworking foundations. Replace thirsty lawns with layers. Compacted decomposed granite for pathways, chunkier gravel for open areas, and a few strategically placed boulders to anchor views. These surfaces drain quickly during storms and stay tidy between cleanings. Use metal or concrete edging to contain materials and maintain crisp lines along driveways and beds. This framework reduces watering needs, simplifies maintenance, and sets a gallery-like stage where every plant, pot, or sculpture earns its moment. Xeriscape doesn't mean no water. It means smart water. Group plants by thirst. Then deliver moisture with drip lines under mulch to minimize evaporation. Choose native and desert-adapted species that thrive on neglect once established. And give new plants a thoughtful start with deep, infrequent soakings. Add a smart controller and sensors so irrigation responds to weather rather than habit. This approach keeps foliage healthy, reduces waste, and helps you maintain a calm, consistent style through seasons and heat waves. Every front yard needs a focal point that guides the eye from street to door. Select one specimen, perhaps a towering totem cactus, multi-armed ocotillo, or architectural aloe, and give it breathing room. Frame that hero with smaller companions repeating similar colors or textures for rhythm. Place a boulder or corten steel planter nearby to ground the scene and catch shadows. By elevating a single star, the whole composition feels upscale and serene, not cluttered or competing for attention. A dry riverbed adds movement and solves drainage elegantly. Create a shallow swale that meanders toward the street, lining it with rounded river rock and occasional boulders for scale. Tuck in drought-tolerant grasses and flowering perennials along the edges to soften transitions. During storms, water travels safely without pooling near the foundation. During dry months, the channel reads sculptural and purposeful. It's a budget-friendly feature that doubles as a natural pathway guiding guests toward your entry without formal signage. Desert planting thrives on contrast. Combine spiky agaves with feathery mully grass, rounded golden beryls, and upright yucca for multidimensional texture. Stagger heights from lowest near edges to tallest near the home, creating a gentle rise that leads the eye inward. Repeat shapes or colors in threes to build rhythm, leaving pockets of negative space for balance. This layered approach keeps maintenance low, boosts visual interest year-round, and adapts beautifully to modern, Spanish or ranch-style architecture. Desert gardens don't have to be expensive. Many succulents propagate easily from cuttings or offsets, letting you multiply plants for free. Ask neighbors to trade pups from agaves, aloes, or prickly pears, and start a little nursery along a sunny fence. Buy fewer large specimens, then fill around them with propagated companions and seed-grown wildflowers. Top dress with gravel to unify everything, and you've created a lush, cohesive look while respecting both your budget and the environment. Containers are the jewelry of a desert front yard. Cluster a trio of pots near the entry in staggered heights, repeating your palette in matte terracotta, textured concrete, or weathered metal. Plant one with a statement aloe, one with trailing rosemary or senecio, and one with seasonal color like lantana. By grouping, you create volume without clutter, and you can refresh just these few accents seasonally while the broader landscape remains timeless and low maintenance. Thoughtful pathways make a front yard inviting. Use broad, evenly spaced pavers set in decomposed granite to guide guests from sidewalk to door. Keep joints tight, edges crisp, and turns gentle for accessibility. Consider a secondary maintenance path hidden along the side for accessing meters or irrigation valves without disturbing plantings. Lighting at ankle height highlights each step at night, while the repetition of pavers adds rhythm and cohesion during the day, complementing both modern and traditional facades. If space allows, carve out a tiny seating nook for neighborly chats. A minimalist bench tucked beneath a shade sail or simple pergola offers afternoon relief without heavy construction. Surround it with fragrant desert sages, hardy bougainvillea, or a citrus in a pot for seasonal fruit and color. This welcoming moment signals hospitality, provides a focal destination, and turns the front yard into usable space rather than a pass-through. Perfect for morning coffee, evening breezes, or quick postcard-worthy photos with guests. Seasonal interest matters in the desert. Mix reliable evergreens with performers that pulse through the year. Spring penstemon and desert marigold, summer lantana and salvias, autumn mully plumes, winter aloe blooms. These cycles invite hummingbirds and butterflies while keeping the scene dynamic. Because the structural plants hold the design, colorful accents can rotate freely without breaking cohesion. That rhythm of permanence and change creates a landscape that feels alive, not static, even when rainfall is scarce. Lighting turns a good desert yard into a magical one. Use warm, low-voltage fixtures to graze textured walls, silhouette cacti, and mark pathways. Place lights behind sculptural plants so spines and fronds cast dramatic shadows at dusk. Solar options are budget-friendly, while wired systems offer dimmers and smart controls for schedules. Keep fixtures shielded to reduce glare and protect dark skies. With thoughtful placement, evenings feel luxurious and secure without the harsh wash of floodlights or wasted energy. Small upgrades deliver big curb appeal. Swap dated house numbers for oversized metal numerals, place a modern mailbox on a simple post, and repaint the front door in a saturated desert hue like paprika or deep teal. Repeat that accent color in a planter or welcome mat for cohesion. These touches cost little compared to full hardscaping, yet they refresh the entire frontage and make every other improvement read polished and purposeful from the street. Treat the mailbox zone as a mini garden. Frame the post with a crescent of gravel, a boulder for presents, and low plantings that won't block sight lines. Choose thornless varieties where hands reach often. Think deer grass, globe mallow, or gopher plant. A small solar light keeps the address visible at night, and a decorative flagstone pad prevents muddy footing after storms. This tidy vignette sets the tone for everything beyond the walkway and welcomes deliveries gracefully. The parkway strip between sidewalk and curb is often neglected. Convert it from patchy turf to a resilient, walkable mix of decomposed granite and tough ground covers like trailing rosemary or desert verbena. Space plants so doors can open without snagging, and keep taller accents back toward the yard. Add stepping stones near street parking for easy access. This narrow zone becomes a charming preview of your style while reducing runoff, overspray, and weekend maintenance. Privacy in the front yard is possible without fortress vibes. Use slatted wood screens, decorative block, or steel panels to create partial enclosures that filter views while letting breezes move freely. Pair screens with tall, narrow plants, Italian cypress, desert willow, or columnar cacti, to extend the vertical rhythm. A simple gate invites entry yet defines the threshold. These layers establish intimacy, muffle street noise, and provide a dramatic backdrop for lighting and shadows in the evening. Mulch is your quiet hero. In desert yards, gravel or decomposed granite outperforms bark by reflecting heat upward less aggressively and resisting wind scatter. Choose a color that matches your soil for a natural look, then top dress annually to hide drip lines and suppress weeds. Avoid plastic sheeting. It traps heat and complicates planting. A breathable fabric under rock is fine in weedy areas, but living, spaced plantings often manage competition just as effectively over time. Desert rain arrives in dramatic bursts, so capture and guide it. Use gutters with rain chains feeding basins or swales that slow water and soak roots deeply. Contour the ground subtly so roof runoff nourishes trees first, then spills toward perennials and finally the dry riverbed. If allowed, connect barrels to drip lines for later use. This small hydrology plan reduces erosion, stretches every drop, and turns rare storms into reliable irrigation events for your landscape. Working within HOA rules. Embrace minimalist desert modern. Select 3 materials, perhaps concrete, warm gravel, and Corten steel, and 3 plants repeated in measured rows. Keep forms clean, heights consistent, and colors restrained. The repetition reads elegant and compliant while still drought smart. If annual color is required, use neat bands of lantana or violas near the entry so maintenance stays concentrated. This approach satisfies guidelines, tames costs, and delivers a refined look with enduring curb appeal. For a southwestern vibe, lean into earthy tones and bold silhouettes. Terracotta pots, adobe-inspired stucco, and hand-painted tiles pair beautifully with agaves, red yucca, and desert spoon. Add a rustic bench beneath a mesquite or palo verde for dappled shade and character. Balance spiky textures with soft mounding ground covers, and introduce turquoise or paprika accents sparingly for energy. The result feels rooted in place, warm and welcoming, never theme park literal, always sophisticated and livable. Prefer Mediterranean elegance. Blend desert resilience with classic forms. Olive trees, rosemary, lavender, and Santolina handle heat while delivering fragrance and gentle movement. Set them against limestone-colored gravel. Add a simple fountain for sound, and keep hedges clipped for structure. Accent with terracotta amphory and wrought iron details. This fusion works brilliantly in arid climates, offering year-round greenery, low water use, and timeless architecture-friendly lines that complement stucco, stone, or white-painted brick facades. Mid-century modern desert yards celebrate geometry. Lay out a strong grid of square pavers set in gravel. Introduce breeze block walls. And choose plants with sculptural profiles like golden barrels, blue glow agave, and ocotillo. Limit the palette to 2 rock colors and 1 accent metal for cohesion. Finish with a low, linear planter near the entry and a simple mailbox in powder-coated steel. The result feels crisp, era-appropriate, and wonderfully easy to maintain all year. If your taste leans boho, aim for relaxed layers that still respect drought. Mix patterned tiles on the stoop with woven textures on outdoor cushions. Then echo those colors in pots and blooming perennials. Use airy grasses and trailing vines to soften edges without creating a thirsty jungle. Wind chimes, carved lanterns, and a few collected treasures make the space personal. Keep the backbone minimal so eclectic accents feel curated, not chaotic, and maintenance stays pleasantly manageable. Small front yards benefit from vertical moves. Choose narrow trees like shoestring acacia or columnar cactus to lift the eye without stealing square footage. Mount a wall fountain or art panel near the entry to create presence without planting more beds. Use larger, fewer elements rather than many small items. A single generous pot, one hero boulder, and a tidy path feel spacious, while repeated textures in gravel and plants stitch everything into a calm, cohesive whole. Corner lots deserve special pacing. Soften the long side with rhythmic plant groupings, 3, 5, 7, graduating heights toward the house. At the street corner, place a low mound, a specimen plant, and a boulder to cue drivers gently. Keep taller screens closer to living spaces for privacy, but preserve sight lines at intersections. A looping path invites neighbors while reducing desire lines across gravel, maintaining order and protecting your carefully composed surfaces from shortcuts. On slopes, trade erosion for sculpture with gentle terraces. Build low retaining edges from stacked stone or steel, then step planting beds like amphitheater seating. Place deep-rooted shrubs and trees high where water lingers less, and fill lower pockets with grasses and perennials that enjoy occasional runoff. A switchback path doubles as a design feature and makes maintenance easier. This layered topography reads custom and intentional while quietly solving drainage and access challenges. Invite wildlife thoughtfully. Choose nectar-rich salvias and penstemons for pollinators, burying shrubs for birds, and water-wise trees for shade. Place thorny or spiny plants away from doorways and walk edges, substituting soft textures where people and pets pass. Leave a small saucer fountain with a drip for birds, cleaned regularly to deter mosquitoes. This balance keeps the front yard lively and ecological without sacrificing comfort, safety, or a refined, welcoming first impression. Maintenance stays light when scheduled. Quarterly, refresh gravel where foot traffic scatters it. Check drip emitters. And prune lightly for shape rather than shearing into unnatural balls. After major heat or wind events, remove broken fronds and top-dress bare spots. In late winter, cut back grasses before new growth and inspect lighting connections. This rhythm protects your investment and prevents overwhelming weekend marathons, keeping the landscape polished with modest, predictable effort throughout the year. Soil in arid regions can be compacted or alkaline, but heavy amendments aren't always needed. Most desert-adapted plants prefer lean, fast-draining conditions. Create shallow berms and mounds to improve drainage visually and functionally, placing boulders as natural-looking outcrops. Backfill holes with excavated soil loosened, not peat-heavy mixes that hold water. Mulch with gravel to moderate temperature swings. These simple moves support strong root systems and reduce transplant shock without complicating maintenance or watering routines. Crisp edges make everything feel premium. Use steel, aluminum, or poured concrete to separate gravel from planters and keep paths clean. Curves should be generous, not wiggly, and straight lines should align with architectural features like garage edges or porch steps. Where budgets are tight, plastic bender board works if installed carefully and anchored well. Define borders early, then plant into that framework. Strong edges reduce long-term cleanup and help your minimalist desert composition read intentional and refined. Art elevates even the simplest xeriscape. Consider a weathered steel sculpture, a mosaic address plaque, or a reclaimed wood totem placed where sunlight can paint shadows. Echo the piece's shape in nearby plant forms or pathway geometry for unity. Resist scattering trinkets. One bold gesture beats many small ones. Outdoor art should withstand heat and dust, age gracefully, and feel rooted in the landscape, not imported from a different climate or style entirely. Scent is the invisible luxury. Plant desert-friendly fragrances near the door where breezes concentrate. Texas mountain laurel with grape soda blossoms, sweet almond verbena, or night-blooming cereus that releases perfume after dark. In containers, add culinary herbs like thyme and basil for touchable aroma. Because these plants are placed strategically, you get maximum impact with minimal water. Evenings become memorable, and guests associate your home with a signature desert fragrance rather than just a view. Frame the front door thoughtfully. A symmetrical pair of pots can signal formality, while an asymmetrical arrangement feels modern and relaxed. Repeat a material from the yard, a gravel color or metal finish, so the entry belongs to the landscape. Add a boot scrape mat that echoes your palette and a low lantern nearby. This micro-composition guides the approach, makes visitors feel considered, and bridges exterior style with interior personality seamlessly and welcoming. Technology can make desert care nearly effortless. Install a smart drip controller tied to local weather data, with zones grouped by plant needs. Use pressure-compensating emitters for even delivery on slopes, and add an inline filter to prevent clogs from mineral-rich water. Tie lighting to the same hub or a scheduling app so evenings glow automatically. These tools protect your investment, cut water bills, and ensure plants thrive even during travel or unusual heat spells. Designed for play without sacrificing polish. Create a meandering stepping stone loop that invites exploration but keeps feet off delicate plantings. Use smooth, rounded rock near path edges and avoid prickly species where little hands wander. Add a discovery element, a sundial whispering chimes, or a bug hotel tucked into a boulder crevice. This family-friendly layer makes the front yard interactive, welcoming, and memorable, without increasing watering needs or cluttering the clean desert aesthetic. Avoid common pitfalls. Overcrowding plants leads to maintenance headaches and stressed roots, so respect mature sizes. Mixing too many rock colors creates visual noise. Limit yourself to one dominant tone and one accent. Sprinklers waste water and streak windows. Use drip. Finally, never set spiky plants at walkway corners or near driveways. Thoughtful spacing, restrained materials, and human-friendly placements keep the design beautiful, safe, and sustainable long after installation day, and practical. Plan like a pro before planting. List goals, shade, privacy, color, wildlife, and prioritize them. Measure the site, note sun paths, and map doors, windows, and utility access. Sketch zones for hardscape first. Then place focal points. Then layer supporting plants with mature sizes in mind. Estimate irrigation runs and lighting needs early. This sequence prevents rework, keeps budgets honest, and ensures every element serves a purpose within a cohesive desert narrative from curb to threshold.